show, and the topic last night was about being too sexy, and it was just like the people's stories were so funny. That's why I love this show. Stories people share about their own lives, and some of them are like, "Whoa."
That's funny. Like this song. What's the song? Too sexy for my shirt.
That was the title of the show. I'm too sexy for my shirt was what my friend who creates it called it, and this like she does it once every couple of years. She does that sort of theme. Because the stories are so funny, and the people on this. I mean, most people who are doing this are comic writers or comedians anyway of some sort or another. So their style of approach is so entertaining. Although quite a few of the stories have some deeper, like, oh, okay, they get it sort of thing.
Yeah, I think good comedy always has a lot of deeper meanings if you're paying attention.
Absolutely, that's why it's someone's delivering the message where they like the medicine with a little bit of sugar to help us to go down.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Anyway,
we're going to talk about sex today.
Indeed.
This is the newsstreamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast #1 internet singles talk network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
It's going to be a hot topic today.
We'll see how it turns out, because some people may be excited by it, some people may be turned off by it, and some people might be, oh, that's a new idea.
Yeah. Maybe people haven't thought about it, because I'm thinking either spectrum of, wow, yeah, it's a good thing, or no, it's a bad thing, could be very hot, could make people hot under the collar or hot in other places.
Right.
So today we're talking about friends with benefits. Is it good or bad?
Mm-hmm.
And the words good and bad are so subjective too. So we're certainly going to talk a lot about what could be good about it, what could be bad about it. It's certainly how you perceive it, how you feel about it, what your reaction is, what the other person's reaction is. I mean, that has a lot to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So friends with benefits generally means that you see each other on some sort of a regular basis, and you could do things, you could watch movies together, or you could go to dinner together, or you could do none of that. And it always includes sex. That's really the whole part of the definition, is that you're having a physical relationship with this person. And generally, so let me speak generally, it doesn't come with any specific commitments, not a commitment that you're only having sex with each other, not a commitment that you're seeing each other on a regular basis, not any commitment of anything about the future, that it's generally something that's just kind of in the moment. It's more in the moment. I mean, that's what people I've heard, and they want to start out doing that when they have this idea that they're going to have casual sex with somebody, that because they think it's fun, which I certainly agree with, or they have hunger for it. It's a real thing in the widowed community. Skin hunger is such a thing, because if you think about my marriage, anybody that's listened knows mine was only 5 years. I was 5 years and a month. I knew him a little over 7 years. And seeing somebody every day for even that amount of time, it's a nice addiction to have, that you have a person there, that they care that you came home, that you touch each other when you're passing, that you're in another person's presence and company. And then so many of the people I coach their marriages were 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years. Almost every day they had physical, emotional, mental attention from this person, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
Mine happened to be sudden, so now it's suddenly gone. But even people who had people with deteriorating illnesses, they were still there. You were taking care of them. You would hold their hand. You would stroke their brow. You would do all their medical attention for them. And you go, it's gone. It's gone. And I'm not getting regular physical attention, not touching, not in a person's presence, and certainly not sex. So the term that we use in our area of widow people is we have called wid fire. We have this need, and it can become pretty intense and overwhelming, and can make us lose our minds a little if we just are so hungry for physical touch as well as orgasms, having somebody inside of us, being inside of somebody, wrapping your whole body around somebody, naked, skin to skin, your whole body. It's a lot to miss. It really is. So a lot of the widow community has conversations about friends with benefits frequently. So it's not just the widow community, but because I live in this community, I am a widow, and I talk to these people all the time. I thought this would be really helpful for people to understand who aren't widowed what it's like. And if you don't live with somebody, you don't live with your children, you don't have family close by, that could make it even worse, because you're certainly not getting sexual attention from them, but you're at least getting touching. Well, there's lots of widow people who don't get that either. So it makes them a little less discriminating sometimes and more leaning towards the way of the need. So that's why it's really important to talk about the pitfalls and what you can and can't do. I think it's really going to hopefully be really helpful.
That's a lot. And the one thing I want to say to that is, when we talk about friends with benefits, we are talking about somebody who you already got an established connection with. It's not just somebody you met and go, let's go have sex, because you need to get your rocks off out of need. Because you're saying it's not about need is the necessarily the healthiest way. It can be what drives sometimes. However, it's the understanding that you're getting support from somebody who cares enough about you but doesn't want to commit to you is one way of putting it. Yeah.
Right. That's such a good distinction, because I mean, really, if you really want to, you could go to a bar and have sex that night.
Right.
I mean, effortlessly, middle of the day, I don't care, especially if you're retired. You could have sex with somebody effortlessly in the climate that we live in right now. It's effortless, really.
Right.
But the friends part is such the pivotal word, as you were saying, that you genuinely care something about the other person. You like them, you know stuff about them, you've spent some ongoing time, not like together. You could be together for a few hours or a whole day, and then not for a long time, but you've gotten to know who they are and about their families and their interests and things that are important to them. And that's where the problem can start, the crux of, because if you start caring,
Right.
caring is what makes us now, with the next stage that happens to people, is we call it catching feelings. Now you really want them in a relationship. You start thinking about a future. And then if the other person isn't feeling the same way, because that's not how you started out and that's not what the beginning agreement was, the figuratively screwed could end, because now the literally screwed has happened.
That's one way of putting it.
Did I really say that out loud?
You did. The whole world here.
You can count on me for saying it out loud, right?
Absolutely. I was reflecting, because I do have one memory of having a relationship, a friendship with someone that's friends with benefits. I think I shared this on the broadcast before a while ago, but a roommate I used to have, this is probably late 20s, early 30s. And the roommate and she and I got on really well. And her and her boyfriend did have these gaps in their relationship where they were not, well, basically he screwed up and they weren't together at that time for a couple of months. And during those times, we would get together because it was convenient. She crossed the hall, it's that sort of thing. And it was a great thing. But I'm also aware that I won't say catch the feels, but I definitely had the feeling that I knew I was never going to have her, because ultimately I knew she was committed to him ultimately long term. But at the same time, there was this wishful thinking inside that maybe, we could do this forever sort of thing, because, it was so much fun. Oh. And so one of the things about friends with benefits is it can be a great place to not just have a release, because again, you said you can go to a bar any time of the day or night, whatever, and find someone to have sleep with to get your rocks off if that's what you need. But to have the ongoing consistency of something deeper that is between, in some ways, friends with benefits, like in between one night stands and a full committed relationship. It's kind of on the spectrum in that sense. It's that in between. And so it has pluses and minuses. And one of the pluses is there's comfort in knowing the other person, so you don't feel like it's a stranger. Yeah. At the same time, there's also a playfulness, because there isn't a big investment of deep commitment and long-term relationship. that can be very freeing.
Mm-hmm.
So there are pluses on this side as well. And the minuses, so I'm not saying good or bad, just plus and minuses because they're additive or subtractive in the sense, is that yes, you do miss out on the opportunity to have a deep relationship. And also this person may move on to somebody else because you might as well. So it's like that. And to be honest, they're moving on to somebody new or you moving on to somebody new isn't necessarily a negative or a plus. It just is because that's part of the journey. And so friends with benefits, I don't know that if there's any research on this, like if they last a long time or it's on a certain point in life or how it works. But oftentimes I think friends with benefits is a bridge between being single and being in a committed relationship with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good point. I love that because certainly one of the things I've emphasized for women is that it's really important for us to be our authentic selves with you, the guy that we're even first meeting, and now we're getting to know each other, to continue being our most authentic self and not alter ourselves because he's so cute and he has those pretty eyes and that nice accent and he's tall and whatever the thing is that we stop being our most authentic self because we think, but I don't want him to leave. I really like all these things about him. So I can't be who I am because what if he doesn't like that? And that generally, certainly in the beginning parts of Friends with Benefits, people tend to be their most authentic self for all those relaxed, positive attributes that you were saying, that it's fun and it's playful and you're just in it to have a good time together. And you might experiment sexually to say, oh, I've never tried this before. And I'm not sure I ever could have asked anybody else, but I could ask you. And if you could take it for that reason and use it for that reason, both people, there's could be some really great benefits to the Friends with Benefits part, because if you've never exercised that part of your personality, that muscle inside of you, then you could go, oh, I like this feeling. How do I keep it going when I now am going to enter into a committed relationship with somebody? Because when it becomes more important, we sometimes soft pedal the things that are important for us. So I like the way that you put that. That's really helpful.
You're welcome. I mean, and the thing for me definitely is that sense of comfort and safety that's available, and the trust that in some ways it can be, in one way of putting it, it's almost like training wheels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can have that sense where you're with this person so that you're, as you said, like researching or asking, like, I haven't done this before, can we try this sort of thing, so that when you get into the committed relationship, it's like you've had some practice.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be benefiting that way too. Not necessarily you want to meet somebody just to have playtime with, but that can be one of the benefits.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I've stressed for people who have said they really want to do this, okay, this is what you need to do. This is really the way to do it, is that you need to talk about where you are emotionally every time you're together. When you first get together, how are you now? When you're getting ready to part, how are you now? And if you talk in between to now make plans to get together, how are you now? And both people need to be really honest. And that generally the first time of saying, geez, I think I might be caring a little more, or wow, I'm concerned you might be caring more, is not intended to blow it up. It's intended to go, can both of us make an adjustment about this? Is there something we can do to keep both people comfortable? Because what happens is we don't say, we don't ask, and then it turns into this big thing where the catching feelings has now been so blown up that you can't be with them in this casual way anymore. And they weren't advised along the way that this was changing, to give them a chance to say, well, am I changing too? Or I'm okay with you changing. Are you okay if I don't? Or, oh, I can't be with somebody that's changing. I mean, at least give them the benefit of the doubt to have that conversation. And I've coached people through all of those phases. And, you know, it's like, oh gosh, the first person I went out with on online dating was the person. That can happen.
Yeah.
The person that you start out Friends with Benefits could turn into a wonderful, lasting, great relationship. It can happen. And generally it's because you've done a lot of personal work, you've done a lot of personal growth, and you've talked about it with this other person as you were going along. it doesn't just magically happen like people would like it to sound
Right.
like. Oh, I knew you would make a face about that. Gosh, it's my overnight success that took 10 years, right?
It's so funny that people do have this obliviousness to everything that came before. And it really is, it can feel that way in a sense. It's like you've done all this work to have this instant success.
Yeah.
And it's okay to, in a way, to have that, but also recognize that there's work that's been done that has to be done. The transformation happens. And, because what we do with the clients, it's oftentimes to undo those patterns where they've been recycling old behaviors forever and never changed. And then suddenly changed, but it's because they've had some clarity there, some transformation happened, because that's what we guide them through.
Yeah, acknowledge it and give yourself great credit.
Absolutely.
Because this work, you and I know from personal experience and working with our clients, it's a commitment. It takes a lot of work, a lot of thought, a lot of energy, a lot of soul searching. This is not easy, or everybody would be doing it. And we know everybody's not doing it. So give yourself credit that where you are now took work, and you get credit for all the work you did.
Yeah.
So first you have to decide you think you're in an okay place to have casual sex, a casual relationship with all this criteria around it, that you're not making a commitment forever. You both could meet somebody tomorrow. You have to have the conversation. Are they going to be having sex with other people? How do you feel about that? Do you need them to use a condom? Do you need to somehow do blood tests in the middle? I mean, all of that. People are like, I have to talk about that. Well, yeah. If you're going to let them inside your body, it really would be important to be able to have this kind of a conversation with them about all sorts of things, your feelings, your health, their feelings, their health. I mean, it's really seems to be a very friendly thing to do. If you really are saying this is a friend that you feel friendly with, and they feel friendly with you, then this is a friendly way to treat each other. Absolutely. So are you willing? Are you ready? Are you able to have those kinds of conversations before you get naked and get in bed with them? So has stopped a couple people in their tracks, like, well, I don't think I could do that. I said, well, then maybe it's not such a great idea. Because everything takes some thought and some soul searching. And the thing that's so important is that you make this is the one commitment you make, is that you're always going to be honest with each other. That's the only way it will work.
It was interesting because with friends with benefits, it can work very much in either way. One, it can be very much that you're upfront, honest, and to bottom line with each other. Because first of all, because you are friends, there's that level of trust, hopefully, that you have with each other. You can be that vulnerable, that raw, that real with them, which maybe you haven't been in relationships in the past, and maybe you want to do it the next time. So this person becomes a great guide or a reflection to you, so you know you're on the right track. But the other side of it is if you're playing the games of hiding out and pretending that everything's perfect and you're not telling them the truth, you can lose friendships over it. So to have the understanding that friends with benefits isn't just a get out of jail free card sort of thing. It's not just like get away with murder type thing. You're still going to be accountable and still be real with this person, because even as friends, there are possible painful experiences that can happen, penalties that can happen, things that you can do that can make mistakes. So it doesn't mean you're free to do whatever you want. It's just a matter of how you do it's a little different because you don't have that long-term commitment part of the picture.
Yeah. It's kind of a code of friendship. I mean, how do you treat your friends, and how do you want your friends in general to treat you? Yeah. Wouldn't you want them to be kindly honest with you, kindly open with you, telling you if something hurt their feelings, or they don't feel comfortable around you for something, or gosh, I can't do that with you, and this is why. It's just my thing, not your thing. I mean, that's what I would just want from my friends. Anybody that's really going to be a close friend in my life, I need to be able to have that open kind of conversation with them, and they feel that open with me. So if I was in a friends with benefits relationship, I would absolutely need to have that conversation with him too, because I need them to tell me where you are and what's going on for you, and I'm going to tell you where I am and what's going on for me. And as you said, people aren't really good at that in the first place. And so, gosh, to have a committed relationship later with them or somebody else, that would be so essential, and how nice to get to practice that in a place that doesn't feel too scary.
And doesn't have such a high penalty, so to speak.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's so important. So we're going to leave a moment for a commercial break, and then we'll be back to talk about this sizzling, scintillating subject again.
Indeed, we will. See you in a minute.
See, I remembered this time. Ha ha. Even talking about sex, I was able to pay attention to the clock.
Multitasking is a skill that women have.
We do. We're really good at that. So today we're talking about friends with benefits. Is it good or bad?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is such an important subject because, we're all a bunch of grown-ass adults and we can have sex with whoever we want. And it's really okay in this world right now. Pretty amazing that we have the means and we have the opportunity, and there's plenty of people out there, especially this whole little group, this big group of women that just want to have casual relationships that could include sex because they've been committed and it's done, and whatever, they got divorced or widowed, and they're really fine being in a more casual place, they think. So, okay, they're out there for men to go look for if that's what they're looking for as well. And just being mindful. I think that's the part that's really important about being mindful.
Yeah, that's the cornerstone. I mean, we talked about this so many times in our podcast about even primary relationships, about being mindful, about being present, about being honest, authentic, transparent, all these different qualities. And again, not saying you need to practice this with your friends in your friendship with benefits relationship. However, if you had some challenges with this or you haven't been able to do it before, this is the time perhaps to put that focus front and center, because if you've been watching our broadcast for long enough, you know that having that sort of quality in a relationship is important. So why do you want to waste time not doing that somewhere else? I mean, this is the whole thing. So friends with benefits can be an incredibly powerful gift, not just to get your rocks off, but somewhere we can really stretch into who you really are and have a more authentic and more rewarding experience with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So make it worthwhile if you do that.
And some of the things that have happened when I've coached people through this is, especially women who had only been with one man their whole time, and either sex was just okay or not very good, or sometimes even when it was really good, when they are with a new man who's somebody who's maybe has a little more history and a little more skill and a little more interest in pleasing this particular woman, and has really interest in asking and paying attention, they have sexual experiences that they didn't even know they could have.
Right.
And part of the challenge for women specifically is when we have an orgasm, it releases the oxytocin, which is the attachment hormone. We have no control over it. It just happens. It's the thing that helps us get attached to babies after they made us want to pee every 5 minutes and we've gone through this maybe possible hours of childbirth. It's the same thing where we're like, oh, wow, I care about you so much. I think I'm falling in love with you, that we have to be mindful of that. It's the chemical.
Right.
It's not who they are necessarily, or how they treat us or anything. It's that they gave us a great orgasm, and how nice to appreciate that and say, thanks, do that again and teach me how I could teach somebody else someday to do that with me. I mean, the women who have been able to stay at that place for a while have really benefited from a friends with benefits relationship. And it's a challenge to not catch feelings. Yeah, it really is, because your body is going to feel connected. Your body is going to feel attached to this person. You just have to go, it's just chemicals. It's not real.
Easier said than done.
Oh, so hard. It's so hard. It's a factory installation that we can't do anything about. We can just monitor it and modulate it.
Right. The thing, and that's really from the female perspective, because that's something that women are much more susceptible to, for want of a better word, than men are. As one of our quote gifts is the ability to be more detached and less invested.
Yep.
Which can work against us very clearly, because the thing is, if she's starting to catch feelings and she's starting to feel that desire and that yearning for more, and we're not, and we don't tell her the truth, that's dangerous. Oof. One of the things about friends with benefits, and we talk about friendship and relationships over the time about trust and integrity, keeping your agreements, telling the truth, all these things. This is especially true with friends with benefits, because things can shift, as you said, the chemical reactions and hormonal shifts that happen when you're getting that close and that physical and that intimate can make what you decided at the beginning moot and gone by the time you get to the end. Yeah. So having wherewithal and consciousness and presence of mind to understand that you may or may not be feeling the same thing as your partner is after you've had the joy of that intimacy, the kind of knowledge, all these things, that it may be a point to discuss again, is like, where do we stand? What is really going on? Yeah. Because you don't know for sure. You can think you do, but you don't know for sure.
You first know for sure where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be in flux. I've had a couple of people go, well, I'm kind of in flux. Well, then talk about how you're in flux. Right. You don't know exactly where you are now, that your scale seems to be moving, and maybe it'll bounce back again, or it'll want to go even more forward. Just keep talking about it, because it doesn't automatically mean there's a problem.
Right.
Never does it automatically mean that. It means we're going to talk about it, so hopefully it doesn't become a problem. So the most amazing thing that I've discovered in coaching widowed men is they frequently catch feelings after having sex. Mm-hmm. Because their heart is so open, and they're having the same skin hunger. They're having the same missing of the wrapping somebody up and making their eyes roll back in their head and making them make great sounds. I mean, guys like that anyway. You really do. I mean, I tell women 75% of their enjoyment is watching us. I mean, it's not like they don't have fun having an orgasm too, but good guys, they like pleasing us. They like having us feel wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You take that, huh?
No argument from me.
Your Y chromosome is going to go, yeah, sure, yeah. And I told them it. And to have somebody just admire your body and think that your body's glorious while they're pleasing you, I mean, that's just good for everybody. Mm-hmm. And then I was so surprised. It took me a couple of different guys telling me this, that they were having trouble not catching feelings. And it's this widowed thing. It really is. Because my marriage just wasn't this long that people have had. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things, like, you can't understand being a widow unless you are. And I had sudden death. I don't understand long illness. I don't understand long marriage. My first one was 13 years. My second one was 5 years. I've never had a 20-year marriage. Never. I mean, it's not my life experience. I can appreciate it. I've talked to enough people, but I don't feel it in my body. So people that were married and had ongoing, especially nice sex lives with their pet spouse, go, oh my God, I'm having it with this person. I think I'm going to fall in love with them, before you really know if they're the person for you. Because just deciding to be friends with benefits just means you like each other. That doesn't mean you're life partners. Mm-hmm. And so I've had to coach guys around it, which has been fascinating for me, because I was like, oh yeah, guys can just put in a compartment. And when they say it's just sex, it's really just sex, ladies. They really, I really understand. And now the guys are going, no, it's not that way for me. Right. It's been so interesting.
Well, the thing is, and this is just human psychology, in the sense that, and being, as I get to witness the men in the widowers group, to hear or to read what their posts about that feelings they have. Because the thing is, for a lot of men, especially when they're in a long-term relationship and they lose their partner, their feelings are no longer hidden. Like, they're feeling everything. They're connected. They're so in that place. So that yearning, that desire, and that, again, that ongoing connection to the feelings is what keeps driving them. So they're no longer the man doesn't care. They're absolutely engaged and interested. So I'm not surprised that you've seen a lot of men that way, because that journey of grief, it's almost impossible not to have an experience of your own feelings, and to actually come out the other side with a greater sensitivity to your own feelings, which is a gift in itself.
It must be so fascinating for you as a non-widowed person to have this window into reading these very intimate, sweet feelings that these men post from their deepest part of their heart.
Yeah.
That you go, oh yeah, I can see they really feel that way.
Yeah. Well, the thing's also, you know, in my spiritual work, having been a spiritual counselor, I've done grief counseling with so many people that not to say that I can say it. I've gone through my own grief in different ways, not with a partner, but through family members, through losing a pet, those sort of things too. So I know the feeling very intimately myself. But having worked with it with other people and gone through the deeper spiritual and emotional guidance with them and seeing us go through that process has been such a gift to be able to serve that way, but also such a humbling experience to recognize that so much capacity we carry, men and women.
And fun that they get to talk to a guy to guy is so wonderful. Yeah. They like me because I get to give them the inside scoop from the other side. And they do say that I'm a soft place for their feelings to land, that they could practice talking to a woman in intimate ways that they haven't done before so they can get good at it for their next relationship. And then there's just nothing like a man talking to a man. There's just nothing like it. There's nothing like them talking to me. There's nothing like them talking to you. That's why we do this. It gives people such a balanced diet. It gives you both sides. It gives you such a sense of both sides. Of, you look at the coin of coaching, you get so much richness from both of us because we have our own experience personally, and then we have our vicarious experiences that we have through our clients.
Absolutely. I like that, a balanced diet. I like that. That's a good term.
Is that a funny term? I know.
Yeah.
You know me, I can come up with funny terms, but it makes sense right when I say it, though.
I totally get it.
A little from this food group and a little from that food group.
Different perspectives is good.
Yeah. Well, and maybe we could even associate that with friends with benefits about, what other needs do you have from this person? Do you want conversation? Do you want quiet time? Do you want somebody to watch movies with? Do you want somebody who goes for a walk with you, along with having great sex? Figure out what else you would like that would make your life feel good with this person. Not to fall in love with them, just that it feels more well-rounded because you are the friends part. It's not just you went and pick somebody up in a bar that you're never going to see each other again, that this is somebody that you want to see occasionally. And what are you going to do together too? In and out of bed, or while you're in bed, what do you want to do? Do you want to eat in bed together? Do you want to have a conversation before, during, or after? Are you somebody that likes them to talk to you? Are you somebody you want them to be quiet? Do you want to talk to them during sex? Do you want to be quiet? I mean, all of that is such a wonderful, rich way to explore who you are and what your needs are, and then practice saying it out loud to another person. Because if they're your friend, they'll understand this is what you need, and they can say, yes, I can do that, or no, I can't, or well, I never thought about that. Let me try. Let me see if I can do this thing that you want me to do that I've gone, whoa, maybe, I don't know.
It's funny, just had me thinking about it, because there are so many things that we can give each other as friends that isn't necessarily from a relationship-centric perspective. And in fact, sometimes friends with benefits doesn't actually involve sex at all. It can be just somebody you can cuddle with on the couch watching a movie, or someone you can just be there, listen to you when you want to vent. And having that benefit from that friend, to play it that way, can be such a gift that is so healthy, because it isn't cheating on anybody. It's not putting off having a relationship. It's something that just helps you grow and get through certain points and hiccups in your own journey.
Yeah.
And so having friends that are that real for you, friends that are really that solid for you, can be such a wonderful benefit. And if it's somebody of opposite sex, even better, because then there's a capacity they bring that will give you perspective you can't get for yourself, and for those of you of the same gender. So it's a good thing to have.
Perspective, that's really important. And it's interesting. I was recently chatting with somebody on Facebook that he's ultimately looking eventually for a permanent relationship, and it's not this friend he has. And this friend he has, they have an agreement that she comes over, she loves to cook, and she hates cooking for herself. So she'll bring dinner, and he'll pick out a movie, and they cuddle on the couch. And that's all they do is cuddle on the couch. And they both go, that was so nice. She gets to cook. They both get the physical attention. She's been watching movies that he likes that she's now turned out she likes. She's never watched them before.
Right.
They don't watch something she doesn't like, but
Mm-hmm.
they keep expanding each other's world in this really comfortable, very contained space that they keep talking about.
Right.
Which has been lovely because they've had a couple of blips where, you know, wouldn't be good. Okay. But every once in a while they address it. And I said, that is so grown up. You guys are having such adult behavior. I'm very proud of you.
But that's the thing is to have that adult quality in the communication, because it's not just, like teenagers. There's a level of really deeper connection and deeper conversation that can be had.
Yeah.
And I think for that, it's a level of maturity in a lot of ways that we bring into our conversations with people who we can trust, that we have safety with, that we can feel that we can tell our secrets to. That is beyond anything else. I mean, that's the thing with friends. That's why I like the idea of friends with benefits not being just about someone to go get your rocks off with. Yes, it is the common term used for that, but to have that depth of connection with somebody that you can trust and rely on, and have that resource whenever you need, not all the time, but when you have an agreement of time that works. And so that way, your friends with benefits has a real good place to have in your heart, even when you're in a relationship, because you're not cheating on the partner. It's about somebody you go out to because you want to have them feel questions or respond to your questions with answers that you may not have gotten internally or from your partner. So that's why the friends with benefits label has more benefit besides just the physical release.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the learning of the communication part. And I've known a couple people that I've coached through that one or both of them have gone off to be in another relationship, and they couldn't be happier for them. They really were. I was worried about that. They kept saying it was going to be okay. And it turned out it really was. It really was. I mean, you miss that you had this thing because it was nice having some sort of semi-regular thing.
Right.
And it wasn't that you felt jealous or clingy or possessive. It really was, that someday you hope that this person is going to find their person because you've discovered it's not you. It's when one person thinks it's them and the other person knows it's not that things get too messy.
Very messy. Yeah. It's one of the biggest challenges, again, because you said before that we get trapped in our feelings, or we start, as you said, catching the feels. We get to the place where we start feeling like we want this person more than we really do, because our emotions are guiding us inaccurately.
Yeah.
And the other person maybe doesn't have that feeling, so there's this mismatch. So that is the dance. That's why having friends with benefits on the other side of it is having the friendship first with somebody you can trust, that you can communicate with. So if things don't go the way that you both want, you can talk about it without getting resentful and upset and walking away. You communicate clearly and just reestablish the friendship on a new level. That's the joy of this.
Because the really sad thing is the no carries the vote.
Yeah.
If one person's, but I really want, and the other person's, I really don't, the no wins. Sadly, the no will always win. And often, I've certainly seen this, the person that wants more and can't have it can't go back.
Right.
And they just can't. They can't go back to being okay with less, which they don't need to do. They just can't stay with that person, because you can't stay with somebody who can't give you what you deeply need and want in your life. If it's a very core need of yours, you really want to fall in love, you really want to have a committed relationship forever, and this person says, I can't be that person, you need to leave. Yeah. You need to not stay wishing and hoping it's going to be different, hoping they'll change their mind, that you're just going to sacrifice yourself and put up with it. Better than nobody, better than nothing. That is so not better than nobody or nothing, because you need to say goodbye so that you can find the person that you really would fall in love with and would fall back in love with you. And this person, if that's all they want is somebody in a more casual way, let them go find their next casual person.
Absolutely. That's
hard. Oh, that's really hard.
It's challenging because, as we said, it's like building the friendship first, is that you're losing not only someone to have that sex with and that relationship with, but also the friendship too. And that can be really hard. So understandably, that's the thing about having healthy friendships, is that you can navigate that in a better way. But yes, when you do have the enmeshment so messed up inside yourself, there's no easy way out.
And I've had people say that they ended up not choosing sex. They just stayed friends because the friendship was so important to both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a very important choice to make if that's your choice. I mean, who knows? Could have turned into something. You don't know. And you need to be willing to take the risk. Because the risk is so real, as we're going to keep impressing. The risk of having one person not care as much as the other person, and the person who cares so much can't stay, is a very real risk for friends with benefits. It's blaring that you need to stay aware of all the time.
So let me underscore this point again, and it's this, which is about that when we have friendships that really are rock solid, we can have those differences, and we can have the vulnerability of not matching values and not destroy the friendship. Because again, friends with benefits isn't just because you want to find somebody you can hook up with and then walk away from all the time. That's not what we're talking about here. This is a much deeper conversation and deeper connection that is available to us. So friends with benefits is something not flippant, but valuable. And it really indicates to you how you treat your own friends by how you treat this relationship.
I like that you use the word value. It's something you value yourself, and you value them, and you value this third thing you've created, this friendship.
Right.
Not a relationship, but a friendship, which is really valuable. Having a good friend that you can count on, that you can be honest with, and you know they'll be honest with you, and you have fun with on so many different levels, whatever levels you pick. I mean, that's just the best in the world, period, when it comes to a friend. I mean, somebody who's really a friend to me, those are the requirements for me. I have lots and lots and lots of acquaintances that I wouldn't call friends, because we so different in so many areas that we can only talk on just a few places, and it's okay. And I'm fine with that. But somebody who's a really close, intimate, into me, see, I care about you, you care about me, we care about each other's well-being, then we need to be able to talk on deep subjects too. Yeah. And so that's the kind of, if I was having a friends with benefits, I would need that as part of it, that we would have deep conversations too. And part of the deep conversation is, this is how I'm doing. How are you doing too?
Absolutely. Same here. I agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, boy, I'm wondering, do you see yourself? Have you been there, done that? How did it turn out? Are you curious? You've been thinking about it. You have somebody in mind, or you're in the middle of one and you're not sure what to do next, and you really want to have a conversation with them. That's what Barry and I are here for. We want to hear what is going on in this area of your life. Do you think it's a terrible, horrible thing? You never would do it? We're fine hearing that too, because you could decide it's not for me. And you're allowed to have that. Just say it out loud. Be sure to say it out loud. I'm happy being this kind of a friend with you. Not these kind of benefits, not these kind of benefits.
There you go.
Yeah. So if you'd like to talk to me, the best way to do that is through my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. And you click on what's holding you back from love, and it'll give you access to this questionnaire, just 10 brief questions, and then you'll be sent to my online calendar, and you can make an appointment to talk to me for free at your convenience. And we'll talk about what's going on in your dating life, or not going on in your dating life, that you would like to be different. You can also send me a personal email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com anytime. I'll answer you within 24 hours. And if you go to the very bottom of my Facebook or my website, you can click on all my social media, like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram. And you can also join my mailing list, so you get repeats of our wonderful podcasts and updates on what I'm doing in my life. And Barry, please tell people how to reach you.
I have a very similar setup, so it's perfect. So you can get in touch with me by going to my website, which is barryselby.com. I just saw a preview of the new site. It looks looking really good. It's not out just yet, but it's getting very close. So currently on my homepage of my website, on top of the screen, there's a take the first step, which is a link to my calendar, where basically you book a time on my calendar, then you fill out a questionnaire, and then we get a time to talk, and we'll have a conversation, see where you are, see where you are, see where you want to go, and if I can help you along the journey, and if it works for us. Because in my work with my clients, I'm very clear that we have to get a clear yes or a clear no, rather than anything else before we move any direction whatsoever. So it's not about saying I must, you must sign up with me. It's like, no, you need to know if you're ready or not. Clear. Simple as that. So that's what you do through Discover Session with me. At the bottom of the home screen, there's a link to my email list where you can jump in the same way as Christine. You'll get replays of this show that I send out, as well as plus all the things I'm up to and doing differently. There is also my quiz. I should mention that as well, because I do the quiz as well. So if you go to barryselby.com/quiz, that is my relationship readiness assessment, that if you're not sure where you are and what you're navigating and what you're looking for, take the quiz. It'll help you clarify that and also get some points of understanding of what may be in the way of where you want to go. I built it for you so you can really get understanding for that. And yes, there is an invitation afterwards to reach out to me for conversation. But if you've done well on the quiz, you may not need my help. So the quiz is a good reflection for your own journey. Social media wise, my name is on pretty much all my social media. So Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, that's all Barry Selby. Instagram and Threads is the real Barry Selby, because that got changed. And if you want to send me an email, you can send me one at barry@barryselby.com, and we'll talk as well. And
how easy is that?
Easy.
And if you have found this conversation interesting or scintillating, please share it with your friends who are having challenges with their dating life as well. We love getting questions and comments. If you have a subject that you'd like us to address in the future, you can also watch us every week live and make comments while we're talking at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern and all the times in between. And then you can watch us and listen to us. Tell them how to do that, Barry.
Oh, that's easy. Basically, if you go to, for the podcast, you go to Apple Podcasts. We're still on Spotify, any other platforms. We also broadcast with Roku and other platforms as well. But the great thing with our podcast platforms is that those are audio. And for most people, when they're on mobile devices, audio plays when you're running around doing stuff. So you can listen to our conversations on Apple Podcasts, for example. If you're working out, if you're driving, if you're going shopping, if you're laying at the beach, whatever you're doing, you can actually listen to us, no problem at all. The challenge with video is it doesn't usually play when your phone is turned off. So little tip. But yeah, our audio is just as good. And
I had somebody where they had the little earpads, and they were having, one person was listening, the other person was listening.
Nice. So share it with the friends.
Dual binging. It was just one at a time binging. Now they're two at a time binging.
I love it.
How exciting is that?
Awesome.
So that we hope you will join us again next week for another really fun, sexy subject.
Oh, yeah. We'll be back for more, definitely. Hope you will too.
Bye.
See ya.